The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Nope, I'm not doing it. There is nothing I can say here that won't make me sound like a racist. I mean, even I am embarrassed for Scott's opening as he and Amber discuss Slanted. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Well, you know what they say.
No, I don't.
It's good to be white. It's good to be white.
Oh,
I don't. Maybe that was the melody. Maybe not.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I need you. I need you to fix what I just did.
Yeah. All right. Well, if folks have already seen Slanted, which I hope that you have, that makes sense, and that was a joke.
Well, it wasn't really a joke,
If you
unfortunately.
haven't seen Slanted, please don't report us. That is actually a song within the film. So let's go ahead and get started because there's some fun stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, a horrible song within the film.
Yeah. All right. So this episode, we were talking about Slanted. Blending sharp satire, sci-fi, and body horror, the acclaimed film follows a Chinese-American teenager who, feeling insecure about her race, takes a drastic step that causes a chain reaction throughout her own and her family's lives. So we follow Joan, who moves to America with her mom and her dad when she's around 7 or 8, and she is surrounded by things that are America with, white, blonde women in American flag bikinis.
Was that like deepest part of Alabama?
I don't know. That was somewhere. I'm not.
Prayers and ammo.
Yeah, one of the stores was Prayers and Ammo. That said a lot. And so she's looking around as they move from their homeland to America and feeling like no one looks like her. And I want to be sensitive on this topic because obviously I'm white, you're white, and we can't speak to the experience of someone who isn't. But Joan, when she's young, when she first gets there, she winds up going to meet her dad to pick him up at work with her mom, who is a custodian at a high school. And while she's there, she kind of wanders in and sees the prom. And the white blonde girl who gets crowned as the prom queen. And
It's always the white blonde girl.
it is cemented that she wants to be the prom queen. And we flash forward 10 years, and Joan is very much resisting the look of being Chinese.
See, I'm going to slightly argue with you on that one.
Okay?
I don't think she was resisting the look of being Chinese. I don't think this is a race thing or in anything. Like, the most vulnerable years of your life are probably ages 14 to 18. Like, however old you are in high school. Hands down. Like, you're just coming into a level of maturity to really police yourself around how others are and trying to adapt. And you don't want to be left behind. And I think she wanted what everyone wants. She just wanted to fit in.
Yes, she did want to fit in, and she went to a school where it was primarily white people. I mean, keep in mind, when I say that she didn't like the way she looked, she had a clothespin on her nose so her nose wouldn't be as wide. She had pictures of white people all over her wall. This girl was more than I want to fit in because she also used this app called Ethnos, which she would take a selfie of to post online, and it made her less Chinese looking.
So
I hear what you're saying, but I think both can be true.
Can someone tell me why the first text we see from Ethnos make it sound like it's a crypto scam?
I don't know what you're talking
Like
about.
it was like you're the top 0.0001% of all users. We have a great bonus for you. Like I see those all the time on like WhatsApp or something like that, and they're just. I honestly I thought they were going to go down a level of like scamming. That's where I thought because I didn't know anything about the movie coming into it.
So as Joan sees prom time approaching, she wants to run for prom queen. And her best friend, who is Indian, is her campaign manager. And there's an opportunity to actually run because the heir apparent, another popular white girl, is not going to run this year. And so
she's going to be filming was it a movie or a TV show?
A superhero show, yeah.
Whatever. She's going to be busy.
Yeah. So Joan and her friend say, okay, well, let's get in this. And it doesn't go great because her dad is still a custodian of some sort. He injures himself on the job. And okay, so this is the first what'd you do? He injures himself on the job and at someone's house. He broke a vase and he injured his hand and says to his teenage daughter, I need you to fill in while my hand's healing. What would you do? I would not send my teenage daughter to clean homes, heaven forbid, in some place that might be a peer of hers, a schoolmate of hers. I think that's a terrible thing to do to a young girl. And I understand the situation that this family was in, but that could be something that a young teenager might not come back from.
Yeah, I would do it if you're truly desperate. If you're like, we are just completely screwed if we don't get some income.
I mean, the mom could have stepped up and gotten a job. He could have even given it to her saying, we need some income. Is there some place that you'd like to apply to work? And maybe she could apply at the cool, clothing store at the mall or something where she would feel more confident in having that job than carrying around a mop and a bucket. And she did ultimately get cited by some schoolmates who then vandalized her posters because of it.
I mean, like you like to say, if they all make the right choices, we would have a pretty boring movie.
Yeah. Very short one. So what would you do if you were the dad and you injured your hand?
Yeah, I don't think I could ask my teenage daughter, like, even if I somehow knew she was a great cleaner. Like, again, there's that air about high school that every little thing about you is subject to criticism.
Oh, yeah. And I remember being in high school of the people that had the cool jobs and the ones that you're like, oh, you knew that they were working because they had to. And no judgment there. But when you have a job when you're in high school, there are the cooler places to work. And there are the ones that a nobody's list is cleaning someone's house and carrying around a mop and bucket, a cool job.
Yeah, I remember my sophomore year, I went to geometry class, and there was a guy who I think he was a senior, who I saw show up multiple times wearing a Taco Bell outfit.
Okay.
Not ironically, it's that he had to go straight there from work, or there was some reason he didn't have time to change or couldn't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he had to be there in a Taco Bell outfit. If you do it once, it can be kind of funny. Start doing it multiple times, you realize he works at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Not exactly the glamour job.
Yeah, and certainly I'm not saying that there's any shame to working. There's not any shame to earning your own money or supporting your family. I'm just saying to make a young teenage girl be the maid in homes that her classmates could potentially live in is just something she can't come back from.
Yeah, there's a massive perception issue there.
Yeah. So...
And plus, go to the bank, get a loan.
Yeah, or the mom didn't work. She could have gotten a job. There was options here. So what would I do? I would explore options before I would ever put my child in that situation. So Joan, she keeps getting texts from this app, Ethnos. And eventually...
Well, she finally got tired of it, so she dyed her hair blonde to try to fit in.
Got tired of it?
Like being a complete outcast based on her look. So she tried to do
she wasn't a complete outcast.
No, she felt like it.
Okay, well, that's different.
So
but
she dyed her hair blonde.
The reason she dyed her hair blonde is she walked down basically the Hall of Fame of all the past prom kings and prom queens, they were all blonde. That's why.
Who the hell has a hall like that?
Yeah, they were ceiling to floor posters of all the previous things. So it wasn't that she felt like an outcast. She saw that, hey, if I want to be prom queen, every single prom queen here is white and has blonde hair.
Yes, everyone, this is our hall of objectification.
Yeah, our hall of white supremacy. So, yeah, after seeing that, she dyes her hair blonde.
Now, apparently, that was the first time dyeing her hair because it was mostly okay, except I'm a guy. And I noticed that there's a rather large bit of her roots up top that she didn't get.
Well, it was in the crown, and honestly, that's even stupid because it used to be where if you colored your hair, you didn't ever want to see those dark roots if you were blonde, and now everybody does it. It's not even something you try and hide or talk about, and sometimes people intentionally have their hair done like that. So the fact that the popular girl said something tonight of like, oh, you need, do your roots, you're embarrassing yourself or something was kind of silly because that's not even how the world is today.
Well, it's because it was inconsistent. Like, you could tell she was trying to go the full blonde. And
yeah, it
she
wasn't
didn't
a
get
great
there.
job. Yeah, she didn't go and have it done at a stylist where it was all even. She did have something that she basically just poured bleach on her hair at home equivalent, and it wasn't done properly. So it was less about the roots and I think more about the quality of the job. So that is Joan's first foray in trying to change her appearance. And
she got, after she dyed her hair blonde, she started to realize, okay, I changed my appearance, I get noticed. She asked her to go get their nails done.
Her who? The popular girl?
Yeah, asked her if she wanted to go with them to get her nails done.
Yeah, when the popular girl asks you if you want to do something, yeah, that's a pretty exciting moment.
Yeah, I mean, you later learn that a good part of that reason is because they need someone who speaks Mandarin.
Yeah, Olivia says, come get your nails done with us, and she's all excited, and she cancels an engagement with her mom to go, and then, yeah, she realizes that it is a nail salon run by a Chinese owner, and, yeah, she needs basically a translator. And
it's well known in Chinese culture. Like, if you go into a shop, like an overtly Chinese place of business, if you speak the language, you get the better price. That is just known.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very,
it's known, but I didn't
it's
know
extremely common.
So, basically, after Joan realizes she's being used in this way, she still asks the shop owner, like, can you give the discount to my friends, please, please? And then they all get to hang out getting their nails done. And Joan plans this idea with Olivia that, hey, you should endorse someone for prom queen since you can't run. That would be amazing. And this is the beginning of Joan initially, like we said, running for prom queen and having her posters vandalized and bleaching her hair. So
because she knows she can't win on her own.
Yeah.
And it's a sad fact. But if you want to know what the prom king and queen are going to look like, just look at the student body. Whatever is most prevalent, that is almost for sure going to be what your king and queen look like.
Sometimes. I mean, I can't say that was representative of my high school. I remember the prom. I can't say.
No, there are exceptions. Like, at least for king. For king, there can be exceptions. We had a guy in our class who was just this uber basketball player. I mean, he ended up going on to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA. Like, he was a good player. Everyone knew who Andre Patterson was. He was that very special jock. Not just a jock, but like one you knew was going places. He won prom king, I'm pretty sure. So he won any popularity contest.
So this film is kind of a combination of a Black Mirror episode with the film The Substance. And if you haven't heard our two-part episode on Substance, be sure to look for those episodes. It's very strange and ultimately culminates with a message from Ethnos that says, hey, we can make you white. And hence the song that Scott opened our episode with.
It's good to be white.
Yeah. And she says, yeah, sign me up. I want to be blonde and white. And
it was even beyond that. Before she quite got to there, they, I guess on a handshake deal, said, we'll do a hair transplant for you.
Right.
So they got the hair looking great.
Yeah, they gave her all nice blonde hair by plucking out her natural hair.
Yeah, while she was getting more attention with the newly blonde hair, that seemed to be stepped up even more when she had the like real quote unquote blonde hair, like the one that looks like you would generally expect to see it, and like she realized, okay, this is the path I'm going down. As I become more white, I become more accepted.
So to be able to get the surgery to make her white, she needs a parental consent form signed because she's underage. She tricks her mom into signing it, saying it's a field trip.
So what would you do right there?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, okay, what would you do?
If I'm her?
Yeah,
Well,
you trick your parents into. I mean, that was kind of a no-brainer.
And so you tell me what you would do if you were in that situation. You needed the signature.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think anyone, if they really wanted something, they would probably do that. I mean, if you are so gung-ho on this is what I want, I'm sure a lot of people would. I can't say that's anything I ever did, but I could see that being the thing that most people would likely do.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, and see, that's the thing. You know you can't bring it up with them because the way Chinese people are about culture. Like, it is all about culture.
Well, and I think I think that extends to most people. If you said basically, I want to be different than how you made me, I don't know any parent who's going to say, whatever you want, kiddo. I mean, that's going to be a very, very complicated conversation
I know,
at best.
but it's specifically bad for Chinese, and it's not even Asian. Like Korean, Japanese, Filipino, all those, not nearly as bad as Chinese when it comes to just like your culture is your personality, and if you do anything to go away from your culture, your personality is worse for it.
So she has the surgery done. She comes home, she walks in the house, and her parents naturally say, hey, little girl, you're in the wrong house. Leave. Why are you in our house? And she goes around and trying to convince them that she is actually their daughter. What would you do if you were Joan's parents and someone walked into your house claiming to be your daughter?
I will answer that question right after this break.
Overwhelmed by the technical side of podcasting? Duncast makes creating a professional-sounding podcast incredibly simple.
I was terrified of the technical side of podcasting. Duncast made it so simple that I launched my first episode in under 30 minutes.
Just record, and our patent-pending AI tools handle the rest, giving you studio-quality sound at a fraction of the time and cost. We also distribute your show to all major platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so all you have to worry about is being the creator.
If you want it done fast, use Duncast. Visit Duncast.com to start your free, no credit card required trial today.
And we are back. What was that question again?
What would you do if you were Joan's parents and someone walks into your house, looks completely different than your daughter, and says, I'm your daughter?
So this is where the science fiction aspect comes into it. Like your very Chinese daughter turns into McKenna Grace.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, initially, you're going to be like, no, but...
Because who would even think that was possible?
Exactly. But she started rattling off so many things that only she could know.
Right.
That eventually they had no choice but to believe her. So, and yeah, no, I'm going to be the same way. You blonde chick. Well, they're Chinese. They didn't speak good English. You heard them speak English. Don't give me that look.
So at this point, Joan doesn't look like Joan. And she actually leaves her identity completely behind. And she shows up at school as Joe
Hunt?
Joe Hunt, yes. A new transfer student from California. And she ultimately gets friendly with the guy that she's had a crush on in the past. And she gets friendly with Olivia, who is the popular girl who's going to endorse someone for prom queen based on Joan's previous recommendation that she did. But no one knows that she's Joan until her best friend all of a sudden puts two and two together.
So...
Who she hasn't even engaged with. She's avoided her best friend.
Yeah, her parents need like 50 pieces of information to put that together. The friend is like, I recognize that lunch pail. You must be her.
Well, yeah, I mean, she did bring a silver bento box. She used to actually give that lunchbox to her best friend. So yeah, when she continues to bring it as Joe Hunt.
I think I would have a hard time making that leap just based on a lunchbox. Like, oh, that blonde chick over there.
But in the meantime,
the blonde white chick over there, that must be my best friend because she has a silver bento box.
But in the meantime, your best friend is MIA. Not answering your calls, is nowhere around. Your best friend has disappeared. And you also know your best friend has somewhat of a fascination with wanting to look different.
Yeah, but again, this is where the science fiction aspect comes into it. And I'm like, there's no freaking way that's possible.
Well, ultimately, she's proven right because she calls Joe's phone, which is still Joan's phone, and it rings. And there is a moment where Joe has a choice to either side with her best friend or to side with the popular Olivia. She sides with the popular Olivia, and Olivia nominates her for prom queen.
Yeah, she literally just got told, show me that I can trust you, and you'll get my nomination. And then that moment comes.
So what would you do if you were Joe in that moment where you're throwing a party at someone else's house, pretending it's your house, and a bunch of kids come to the party, and they are teenagers of color. And the white kids, led by Olivia, the popular girl, are saying, yeah, no, you're crashing this party. And the best friend says, no, we were all invited. And that's when Joe chooses Olivia instead of choosing the other kids who wanted to come to the party.
Yeah. So
what would you do if you were Joe? Would you cave to that pressure to get what you want?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I am afterwards going and begging forgiveness and I literally explaining, hey, listen, you know how bad I want this prom queen thing. Like this is like my dream for a decade.
And she did do that.
And so I am so sorry that I had to do that.
I don't know if you can say I'm
so sorry I had to do that to you. She and I had just had an encounter where she said, quote, if you earn my trust, you'll get my endorsement. And that was the opportunity to do that. I feel terrible about the fact that I did that. Understand that the best friend's still going to be probably pretty pissed. But maybe get over it. Like maybe if you explain why.
Well, also keep in mind that the best friend also saw how the popular white kids were treated versus the kids of color. And it had been something that she had commented on the past. So it was more than just you can't come to the party. It was actually cementing the fact that Joe was on the other side of this at this point. And the other side being what her best friend was pretty much, fighting against was against earlier in the film is just the kids of color not being treated the same.
Well,
and I don't think that's anything that you get an apology for and you just get over.
Well, but here's the problem is that's the way the world works. It's shitty, but in a high school type setting where, again, you can be picked over for anything, the last thing you really want to do is stand out. Have something that somebody can pick on you for.
See, and I think this actually boils down to the fact that you do not have an activist heart, that you aren't naturally inclined to be the one who, stands up for what's wrong or advocates for the less represented or the oppressed or whatnot. That's generally not your go-to. I mean, what would I do? Yeah, I would want that, but I would not only shun my best friend, but an entire group of students.
Were you ever singled out in high school?
I think most of us were at some point.
I mean, like, really singled out.
I mean, I told you I had a bully in second grade. Her name's Paige. I hate you, Paige.
Look at me now, Paige!
Yeah, ate that hag.
Yeah, so...
And I also had two bullies who were best friends when I was in 10th grade.
So, I was fairly well singled out. And it's because I was an asshole. A know-it-all asshole at that.
Well, you still kind of are.
Well, yeah. But trust me, back then, way worse. So
That is hard to imagine.
As I got older, I understand why. And like I issued a general apology right around, I don't know, age 21, 22, or 23, somewhere in there. And I said, if you knew me age 21 and younger, I'm sorry. Just whatever it is, I'm sorry. But that's the thing. Like, I was singled out for things, and being 49 now, and if I could go back and do it over, I would probably not do the things that got me singled out, or at the very least, do them a lot quieter.
Okay, that is much different than someone being born a certain race. That is, being weird or a jerk has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
Oh yeah. But
you're born how you're born. And that's why I have zero tolerance for anyone who mocks or makes fun of anyone of something that they have complete lack of control over it, whether that be, you know, a lisp or things like that. Now, granted, sure, people can work on it. You think about former President Joe Biden used to have a lisp, and he worked on it. He doesn't have it. So, I mean, some things you can alter, but you certainly can't if you're born Chinese. That is certainly not at all the same as what you're talking about. Or if you're born short or too tall. Or
No, I agree that my thing was something that could have been changed if I made different choices. And obviously being born Chinese, generally not, though apparently in this case.
And it was also just her being surrounded with what being American was. I mean, we saw the rides in the car and passing the billboards and the signage and the stores, and this reinforcement of to be in America meant to be white and blonde and wear the flag. And she saw that as she lived in America, and she wanted to be that and feel that and look like that.
That was Alabama or West Virginia. Either way, I can tell you it is country that went very, very hard for Trump.
I do not want to live anywhere where there is a store that's called Prayers and Ammo.
Well, it's funny. I went back to Abilene for my reunion a while back, and I remember parking for the reunion and looking up at the store, and it was called Bible Hardware.
What in the world is that? I can't even imagine.
It was a hardware store.
Why was it called Bible Hardware?
Because it was Abilene.
Were the I don't know, wrenches and like made like stakes that would go into the cross, or I mean, was there a theme there?
Well, I mean, they were closed.
Theme there?
Well, I mean, they were closed. I was going to a reunion.
Well, you can look online. I need answers. Google it, folks.
But my point is, they felt like Bible Hardware was the name they should go with.
Maybe that was a family name. I don't know.
We're the Bibles.
It could happen. So at this point, Joe, she is in. But at the same time, it appears that there are some side effects of the surgery, and her face starts peeling and drooping and getting kind of Elephant Man-esque.
Yeah, we were going full substance at this point.
So what would you do if you finally had everything you wanted, but then all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I look like John Merrick from The Elephant Man? Because ultimately that's what happens when she does actually win prom queen, is her face falls. And by fall, I just mean droopy, hangy mouth, sags. It is not good. And she can't reverse the surgery, as she's been told on the initial surgical form.
So who was the super popular girl's name?
Olivia.
Olivia caught her in the bathroom beforehand.
Yes.
She was trying to hide from Olivia. And that's when Olivia's like, yeah, your face starts to revolt against you at first. And then you're like, oh, hell, this girl knows. So the truth is if I'm Joe at that point, I'm actually massively relieved. Like, Olivia's helping her tape up her face and do what she needs to go out there and accept it. Apparently, it was at a very unlikely, but I don't know. I probably would have made sure that my hair was
That is not something hair is going to hide.
More in front than it normally would be. Like,
your only way hair is hiding that is if you are dressed like Cousin It.
Yeah, you've got to
very dated.
Take a step or two back on the stage so that people don't see you as well.
Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. That was a lit stage. She was in front of her entire class.
Yeah,
at which point she looked fine, and then her face fell, and everyone started gasping and, oh my God, so gross. And it was bad. So,
I mean, that's a nightmare, but you know what? Still prom queen.
well,
You still got what you wanted.
you're prom queen, but also, too, everyone snapped pictures of you and how grotesque you are. So at this
Well,
point, she is back in the home of Olivia and her dad.
I think it's easy later to be like,
To explain the literally saggy, folly face.
yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but
I had
at the point when it stops fighting, it should. I don't know. Blame it on a rare disease or something like that.
Okay, so what would you do is you would lay low and then blame it on a disease.
Oh, yeah.
So she passes out on the stage when all this happens, and she wakes up and she's with Olivia and her dad, and she finds out that they were formerly Cuban. And Olivia had the surgery, and so did her dad. What do you do at this point when you realize that, wow, they had this surgery too, they know the road, and Joe also hears that they don't talk to Olivia's mom anymore because Olivia's mom refused to have the surgery. And Olivia and her dad are both quite content that they did.
Yeah. So this is actually two extremely different issues here. For one, again, if I'm Joe, I am comforted. These two people had their surgery. Their face, it's not falling off them. They look normal. This is a side effect. This is something, this too shall pass situation.
You think that they would tell clients that to realize that,
Yeah.
that your face is going to...
Yeah. So now, haven't talked to her because she didn't want to have the surgery.
Oh, the mom.
This is an entirely different ball of wax. Like night and day different. It is fine as an individual in or society and available to you. I not otherwise be available, and you want to use those tools. That is fantastic. The thing to note is that this surgery doesn't change your personality. Now, it might give you confidence to find sides of it that you might not have had before, but at your heart, you're still the same person.
Okay, but here is the important fact that you're leaving out here is Olivia and her dad explained that they started looking at the world differently because of essentially cultural differences at that point, because Olivia and her dad were having the experience of, police people help you and people don't look at you in a store, and
It's
their
good to
lives,
be white.
yeah, which is where the song comes in, and that they were having this very different experience. And if you had a wife or a mother who was having a very different life experience, that is what they were talking about. And I'm reminded, although not exactly the same, but I'm reminded of the film Good Fortune, if y'all want to find that episode, in that a guy who was poor then all of a sudden had money. And initially, he would have had something very in common with this girl that he liked, but because he now had money, she was like, you don't understand. And she was having a much different life experience trying to organize a union at her workplace, and her thinking, well, you're rich, you don't get it. So when you have people who have very different life experiences, that's what it was about. It wasn't like, it's not exactly what you're talking about.
I don't care. I don't care. Like, seriously, it's not for you to say who should be white. If you want to do it yourself and you want to make that choice, I 100% support it. And maybe it does mean that...
Oh, no, I'm not saying that anyone should have said you should be white. I'm just elaborating that he did.
Well, no, that's
explain
exactly
why.
what they said. Like, she needed to be white or we were going to get rid of her, basically.
Well... Again, they were talking about how their life experiences were different and the cultural aspect of it. It wasn't that you're the same person and we just decided not to talk to you anymore because you're Cuban and we're white. It was that their life experiences started to be very different. And I'm not defending it. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, there'll be points of divergence for sure. But surgery or we're going to cut you out, because that's what he said. about Joe's parents. Like, did your parents have it done? No. Stop talking to them. Like, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I
That's not about fitting in. That's about being a racist.
I don't know that that's what he said. I think he was talking about how their experiences in life were different. And again, not defending that, just clarifying that that's actually what happened in the movie. It wasn't get the surgery, I'm not talking to you. It was just people grow apart. You think about, like, all of a sudden, if you were into skydiving and you want to skydive all the time and you're like, I'm flying to, Costa Rica to skydive, and then I'm meeting up with all my new friends to skydive, and then all of a sudden you and I don't have something in common that is shaping your experience in life. And that's a very weak comparison, but I'm just saying it's a huge way for people to grow apart when your life and your experiences and how what happens to you and how you experience things completely change.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not up for you to tell me that my life experiences are going to change because of this. That's one thing you just have to experience on your own. You do it on your own, and if it happens naturally over time, like you're describing,
well, I think
then
it
it
did
does.
Because Olivia said she hasn't her mom. She
hasn't spoken to her mom since in years because she wouldn't.
Right. So it had been years. I certainly don't know the timetable here, but I'm just clarifying what the dad said. So what would you do at this point when you were Joe and you're hearing that these people have experience with what you've gone through, but then these people have actually written off their wife and mom and just be like, yep, nope, we don't do that anymore. We don't talk to her anymore. And you love your dad dearly, and you have a complicated relationship with your mom, but you love your dad dearly, you love your family, and you see that this could be an issue.
Well, I have to rewind a little bit earlier when they're basically those parents. You're not staying with your culture. You're a different person now because of all that, and like no. She is. She's
going to parties. She's popular. she is.
But that doesn't mean that she's necessarily trying to get away from all the Chinese culture. Like, there's what you do in public and what you do in private.
There is, but also she changed her name. Like, she is not owning that. Hey, I'm Joan, and I changed, and now I'm white. Like, she's hiding it. She's not claiming her family. She's not claiming her
because
home.
If she walks into school,
oh yeah,
and she says, "My name is Joan Wang," they're gonna look at her like, "What the f?"
Yeah.
No, you are not.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously, she wouldn't have the same experience.
Yeah, she's doing it again to fit in, and that's. I will always come back to that point: is that high school is such a formative time for you. And it can be, here's what I might say if I was Joan, talking to her parents. Well, I had two options: become white or kill myself, because I was miserable.
And here's the sad thing: Joan was a beautiful Chinese girl.
Oh, she absolutely was
beautiful, and she was kind, and she was sweet, and she was funny, and it's tragic. What kids in school having to if you are different in any way, or if you want to be in with the cool group, that there are cookie cutter expectations, and if you deviate from it, think about even just basic things like if your shoes are off-brand or they're not the ones that everyone else is wearing. Like, the last thing in high school we all want is to be different, and that is all that Joan wanted, is to be different.
So back to my point. If she goes to her parents and say, basically, you were going to have two options. You were going to have a white daughter, or you were going to get to bury a daughter.
Well, I don't know that she was on killing herself.
Teenagers can be dramatic.
Okay, so what would you do? Is you would threaten suicide?
Well, I wouldn't threaten it. I would say, listen, Mom, Dad, I was way more miserable than you know. There are people all the time in high school who commit suicide because they feel like they're so far out and they can't get back in. And, this is a very, very real thing that happens. So, explain, I'm I was at that point. She actually was. But as far as placating the parents...
Oh, gee. Okay, so what would you do is you would threaten suicide even if you didn't necessarily feel that way.
Well, here's the thing. She was very miserable. She made it clear that she was very miserable. The idea of her being suicidal actually wouldn't be that far off.
So she was miserable in the fact that she was obsessed with the look of being American. And
No,
I'm
she
putting
wasn't.
that in
She
air
was
quotes,
obsessed
but
with
she
not
was-
fitting in.
But she had a good friend. She had the confidence to run for prom queen. Like she was well adjusted within her relationship with her BFF. Like she wasn't miserable. She wasn't like going around moping around wearing black.
She was trying to do everything the right way, and then she saw where it got her. And it sucks because you should be able to. Like I really wish our society could truly be more blind to looks and race and sexuality and all that, like truly be blind. But there is just like common instinct that people who look together herd together. And if most of you, oftentimes you're going to get excluded. I'm not saying this is always the case. But in either Alabama or West Virginia, wherever they were, yeah, that was probably going to happen. So I think that's how you smooth things over with the parents. And
You smooth things over by saying you were going to kill yourself.
Yes. Oh, 1,000,000%. Are you
That's
kidding?
how you smooth things over. Okay.
Are you kidding? That's the one you win argument. I was going to kill myself if I didn't do this.
You are one manipulative.
But
Yes, and yes, and you are manipulative.
no, and this is, I think, when to push her so far into white that it wasn't just her but her family as well.
Well, once it was more realized that there could be a future for her where she didn't have her mom and her dad. That for whatever reason they fell apart as a family. That someone pushed away or pulled away. That she didn't want that.
You could still make choices. She could still make choices to learn how to make dumplings with her mom. She could make choices to go to the Dragon Festival. Which, by the way, speaking of Dragon Festival, I saw that red envelope.
Yeah.
That she got for that, and I know what those things are about. Are you trying to tell me that there was enough money in that red envelope to pay for entire body reconstruction surgery?
I don't know what the deposit was or what the cost was. They kind of glossed over that fact.
Like, this feels like it's something that's a 6-digit number that does not start with a 1.
Yeah, I was aware of the unexplained
The economics of
financial situation.
Like,
yeah.
This should be $400,000, but you know what? For you, I'll do it for $500.
This is a complicated issue in the fact that, yes, we should all just be comfortable in our own skin and be authentic to who we are and embrace our uniqueness and blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is, when you were a kid in high school, when you were a kid in school, they are their own society.
You will have your entire life uniqueness. In high school, you just got to fit in.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.